Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Janelle. I am the author of The Art of Feeling, Curse the Novella, and now Waking Rory. Well, I've sort of always been writing. I used to write these, I'd make these little books out of notebook paper, or basically any paper that I could find. And I started doing that around like 7 or 8, and back then I couldn't spell to save my life. I still can't spell to save my life, but then it was okay. I had at least the excuse that I was a kid. And I started writing my first short story, I want to say when I was 10, and that's what I've been saying for years, but I'm pretty sure I finally finished it at 12, and it had like a whopping 20,000 words, which at that point was so much. But yeah, I started writing it at 10 and officially, and I never really stopped. I think I had my first full-length story that I had started writing when I was only 13. So pretty much forever. Princess, but that dream died when I found out that I have the inability to befriend literally any forest animal. So I sort of settled with writing about princesses instead, because Aurora is now the second princess that I've written a story about. I think I considered myself a writer when I wrote my first novel when I was 14, and it actually took me a while to officially consider myself a writer, because I didn't really, I guess it was still a hobby then, but I had a friend. I was dedicating probably 4 hours a day of my time, and she was like, that makes you a writer. Like, you're taking this much time to write this story, you're a writer, and you just need to accept that you're a writer. And I think I was 14 when I finished that one, and that was when I really sort of okay, I'm a writer now. And I feel like I still have imposter syndrome sometimes. My first published book, The Travelers, was released in 2015 in December, because I didn't know how bad of an idea that was back then, especially because it wasn't a Christmas book. And the story was a mess for so many reasons, so it's out of distribution now. The journey was stressful. I was young and I didn't really know that much about the publishing industry at the time, and while I don't regret that I self-published, I do regret that I started my publishing career off with that particular book. If I could give any advice to somebody who was a writer, I'd say just write. Don't wait for somebody to give you permission or to tell you it's okay. And what's more, don't wait for the right story, because for me, I typically find the right story when I'm working on the wrong one. I actually had the idea for Waking Rory 7 years ago, before I published my first book. And I've changed a lot of things about it since then, including the age range. But before people thought that Elsa was gay, I remember thinking, why aren't there queer princesses? And what if the stories didn't go how the fairy tales said they did? And I think this story just kind of sparked from there. I relate really well to both Evan and to Rory, if I'm completely honest. All of this pain and loss and confusion that Evan's going through is really just a part of my past that's kind of coming forward in her narration of events. And Rory actually shares a birthday with me, but she's also this falling head over feet into love kind of person, which is very much me. I really hope readers can believe in fairy tales again, and not necessarily in the happily ever after kind of way that you're used to, because it's not a magic spell that sort of forces these two to fall in love. They fall in love naturally, and they build something that a magic spell could never have done for them. I personally feel like I'm living my own fairy tale every day because my wife and I have built a beautiful life together. And I think that's the truth about happily ever after. It's not as simple as the books say. It takes two people who are really dedicated to each other and are willing to put in the work and just not give up. I don't think that Evan and Rory will have a sequel, although I have considered writing more queer-based fairy tales. I write best when there's something ambient playing, so normally I'll listen to like the piano guys, they're kind of my go-to. But for this one in particular, I definitely added some Disney covers to my playlist. Since the book is based in France, I had to research a lot of laws there and customs and things like that. But in addition to that, I had to research photos of different places just so I could describe them because I'd never been there. Without giving too much away, I think my favorite part is definitely the waking scene and the few scenes that lead up to it. Just writing that whole portion of the book was just really enchanting to me. I always have something that I'm working on, but I think I'll probably be getting back to Cursed soon. And I have an asexual romance that I've had on the back burner for a while that I'm kind of ready to start sharing with people. I think I have about 10 manuscripts that are either started or at least have like the basic plot written. One of my favorites is a Valentine's story about a girl who works in a flower shop, and she loves Valentine's Day, but she falls for a handy woman who hates Valentine's Day, and I think the clash in their two personalities is just really fun. It depends. Normally I have to have some sense of plot before I start writing. It starts with an idea, and then my characters come along and the plot comes along with it, but I think I definitely have to know my characters a little bit before I start writing the plot. Otherwise, I can't really ask the question like, would my character do this? For some reason, titles are really easy for me, and I tend to go with something that's pretty obvious. Like Waking Rory is kind of obvious, but I also really like when the title comes from a line in the story, like The Art of Feeling. Not yet, but that is the goal one day. Nothing prepares me for a seat better than music, like specific mood music, so I'll have like different playlists for different moods. I'm an incredibly emotional person, so laughing at my own jokes, crying through the sad scenes, getting angry with my characters do, I feel like that's all just sort of part of the job. It really depends. I don't do a lot of high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings sort of worlds, so a lot of my stories just take place in the normal everyday world with like magic dusted in. When writing Cursed, I realized that one of my characters was asexual, and while working on making sure that I wrote that character correctly, that was actually how I figured out that I was asexual. I get my inspiration from a lot of different places, but I would definitely say that my wife is my muse. So any love story that I write is loosely based off of my feelings for her. Forever is composed of nows by Emily Dickinson. I feel like this one could mean so many different things about writing and love and hobbies and just life in general. And since you can apply it to so many different things, I feel like, the possibilities with it are endless. And I don't know, I just find it really inspiring. I'm a painter as a hobby. I couldn't really see myself like ever trying to make money for it, but I don't know, it's a good stress reliever for me. love it if it could be October year round. I think just Halloween all the time would be great. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. You can find me at elizabethjanelle.com. All of my social media links are there. And I can't wait to share Waking Rory with all of you.